What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update. Just a few things to get into today. The Spurs players, obviously, some of the non-international players have returned back from pre-season yesterday. And we've got a bit of news of incomings and outgoings, starting off with one which was very much expected, which was Pedro Porro. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham have officially triggered the buy option clause for Pedro Porro. It was already mandatory, so just a formal process completed. 40 million euro fee to Sporting for Pedro Porro, who is now 100% a Spurs player. Obviously, he did come here with Antonio Conte playing a back three wing-back system. He came specifically for that role, which we were in desperate need for at the time. Now we have moved to Ange Postecoglou, which looks like we will be playing 4-3-3. Where do you see him fitting in now?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, as you say, all his career, or especially what he's been known for, he's been playing in a back three system at wing-back. So, as you say, that's what we bought him for. As much as I rate his final third output, I think he's a really good cross of the ball, and clearly when he gets into the final third, he can be effective. I still think for me, I want to see him be more of a fullback. I don't think he's good enough with his dribbling ability to be a real winger, which we can rely upon week in, week out to be, unless we're adjusting the system where Kulusevski is maybe more of an 8 and Porro's maybe out wide. I, for one, would rather a winger out wide who's really good at dribbling and retrain Porro to play that fullback inverted system. I think that would be an easier way for us to retrain him. Right now, he's going to need a lot of retraining there because his ability on the ball, he's just a bit wasteful. He's a bit lax on the ball when he's in the inverted position. He kind of gives away the ball a lot. So I think he's going to have to retrain just to play a lot more simple passes. But I'd much prefer him running into the box from deep rather than him already being there and having kind of like fullbacks and stuff onto him. And it's going to be a lot more difficult for him to be effective, in my opinion. So I want to see him retrained as a fullback, but I do think maybe early on, it might be he's going to have to play out further forward.
I think throughout the season, there's probably like a number of roles which we can deploy him in. I mean, in terms of the fullback system, I think the way Ange likes to play it, isn't it only one of them will invert at a time and the other one will bomb on? And so when Porro is bombing on, I suspect maybe a Davis to be on the left, or if we sign a Mickey van der Ven, he can play on the left and kind of invert. When we play Edoji on the left side, maybe Emerson can come in from the right-hand side and invert into the centre. And when we do play maybe an Emerson at right back, I think that's the kind of games where we do want Porro further up the pitch, playing right wing. I really believe in his quality in those areas of the pitch, like tugging that touchline, getting crosses in the box. I don't know if we've got a better crossover ball than Pedro Porro, to be honest, in this squad. And I think there are a few different roles that Pedro Porro can play to a quite high standard. So maybe in the games where we do play him at right back, it's the games where we're expected to have a lion's share of possession, the home games maybe against the lower sides in the Premier League where we won't need to be doing too much defending. Maybe that's the games where he can feel his way in to that role. But I do feel like there are a number of different positions where he can play this season.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. And I think he's got the qualities to play different roles. I just think, unfortunately, he's just not natural in any of them right now. So, but he is still young, still 23. So he's got time, to learn different skills, but it is going to take time. And I think we have to be a bit more patient with him. Whereas, the right wing back slot, although, yes, it took him time defensively, but going forward, he was already good pretty much from the first game. And it might take a bit of time for him to adjust.
Yeah, completely agree. But it's good to get him finally over the line, signed, sealed and delivered. 100% of Tottenham Hotspur players are no longer on loan. Let's talk about another fullback or wingback, whichever you want to call it, in Ryan Sessegnon, as Alan Nixon says that Nottingham Forest are keen on signing Tottenham defender Ryan Sessegnon during this summer transfer window. At least we're getting some interest in him, that's for sure. And I think Nottingham Forest would be a good move for him, to be fair.
Yeah, and they play, I think, at the back end of last season, they were playing a back three quite consistently. I think even last season as well, weren't they, in the Championship? They were playing a back three. So definitely a wing-back slot open for Ryan Sessegnon. Again, a bit similar to Porro, but to an even more extent, I don't think there's really position for him. I wouldn't want to play him a left-back in that inverted role. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough to play the wide role right now.
I don't even want to play him at wing-back. Yeah,
it's true. And obviously he's injury-prone as well, so that doesn't help his cause. He's quite an average player right now. He's an average defender and an average attacker, to be honest. So I think he needs a move just to kickstart his career a bit. I feel like it's stagnated. Not. I don't think in this case. I don't think that's fully Tottenham's fault. His career stagnated. I think he's got injuries and he hasn't really been that consistent when he's played. So I think from Tottenham's point of view, get a bit of money for him. I don't think he has a natural place in this team right now. I don't think he's been playing consistently well enough anyway, unlike someone like Porro. So I think it makes sense for Tottenham to sell. And we got Udogie there. Yeah, maybe you'd argue we'll need a new left back, or maybe you can play Van der Ven at left back if we sign him as a centre back. We have Perisic still, we expect him to leave. So there is kind of a spot open at left back if he leaves, but yes, Ben Davies is still there as well, so he can also fill in there. So I think Sessegnon makes sense for him to leave.
Yeah, 100%. And if this move does happen, it'll be a bit of a throwback watching Sessegnon on the left, Aurier on the right for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, like the good old days, exactly.
Well, the bad old days, where should we say? Next up, this is an interesting one. Reports coming out of Turkey from Mehmet Özkan saying that Galatasaray have entered into negotiations with Tottenham for the transfer of Davinson Sanchez. Gala have submitted an offer of 9 million euros, whereas Tottenham are holding out for a fee of 15 million euros, with negotiations ongoing to reach an agreement. I mean, I'd bite their hands off for 9 million euros. I don't know what we're playing at. Just get him out the door as soon as possible.
Music to my ears. We've needed him out for a while. I think 9 million euros, it's not a lot of money, but to be honest, the way he's been playing over the last few years, I don't expect any money for him right now. So if it's 9 million euros, get that. Yeah, obviously Levy's going to want as much as possible. That's classic Daniel. So I expect him 15 million. Look, at the end of the day, we paid 42 million, so he's going to want to recoup some of it, I guess. So I guess he's going to want at least 10 million, just to a bit of money. But if it's 9 million euros, which is what, £6 million or something, I think that's a fair price right now with how he's been playing, to be honest.
Yeah, you cast your mind back for how long ago was it? 5 years ago we signed him. Now 4 years ago,
2017, 2017. Yeah, 6 years ago.
6 years ago now. I mean, we signed him for £40 million. I mean, what ridiculous. A rip-off. What a rip-off at the time. And, at the time, we heard it was just after Ajax played Man United in the Europa League final, wasn't it? And Jose Mourinho said after that game, he told the Man United players to target Davinson Sanchez. And when he first broke into the Spurs team, we were like, we got a great player off Ajax. And we kind of know why he told them to target Davinson Sanchez now, don't we?
Yeah, it's 6 years on. He still can't pass the ball. He still is nervous in possession. And it's incredible how he really hasn't improved. His best season for Spurs was his first season. That's the reality. He hasn't really had a better season. He was actually quite good in his first season. I thought, all right, we might have a good young defender here when he had Jan and Toby next to him, but he's literally not improved. In fact, he's probably gotten worse. So it's been a horrendous signing. It's been a massive flop, in my opinion, unfortunately. You have to say that. And we should have got rid of him a while ago. We've been hanging on to him for way too long, unfortunately.
It's frustrating, though, because, as a defender, he's got all the attributes that you could possibly want. He's big, he's athletic, he's quick, he could be strong, but just doesn't none of that relates onto the football pitch for him, which is really frustrating. And I remember after his debut against Everton, when we were up there, the fans were singing, we got Sanchez at the back, trying to do that mock-up of the Ledley King song. And everyone was saying, I heard a few people talking about him. It's like, wow, this guy is, he's got some big attributes. He could be the next Ledley King. How wrong were we?
Yeah, no, nowhere near Ledley King. Ledley King was better with his left foot than Sanchez with his right. That's the truth. And look, Sanchez, I still think he's actually quite a good defender, in one-on-one situations. I do think he's quick, but he loses concentration a lot, which means he makes mistakes. And then on the ball, he's just horrific. If you hoof a long ball to him and you ask him to control it first time, bring it down or something, he's just so nervous he'll never do it. And so that's a tactic you can use. Aerially he's good, but you can just lump it to him and leave him alone and just let him make a mistake. You're actually in a weird way better off not challenging him, because if you challenge him, he'll win a head up. If you don't challenge him, he won't control it. He'll lose the ball, and all of a sudden you've got a chance. And that's happened so many times with Sanchez.
So true. Anyway, let's move on to the last story of the update revolving Harry Kane. Fabrizio Romano says that the idea at Tottenham is to have a direct conversation between Kane and Postecoglou about the project and to understand how to continue together. Kane is thought to be open to join Bayern, but he's not told Spurs that he wants to leave as it stands. excuse me, Bayern have no intention to give up on a deal anytime soon, and they want to attack the situation. Ben Jacobs says that Postecoglou is planning for the new season with Harry Kane at the club amid an upcoming bid of 80 million from Bayern Munich. Kane has not to date told Spurs he wants to leave. And Darren Yarlett, which is kind of new ITK who's doing the rounds on social media at the moment, says that he's been told from day one he won't be sold this season. If he wants to leave next season, that's on him and only him, not the club. So apparently Kane has been told from day one that he will not be sold this summer.
And I'm happy with that. More of Harry Kane for Tottenham. I'm not going to be mad at it. Again, if Kane is desperate to leave and we get a good fee from Bayern, like a really good fee from Bayern Munich, and he really wants to go, then I'm open to it. But if they're gonna try and lowball us with like 80 million bids, and Kane isn't gonna try and force a move anyway, I'm happy for him to stay and we can try and convince him to sign. If he doesn't sign, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You got to remember, a year is a very long time in football. A lot can change in a year, and we'll have to see where we are at the end of the season and how he's doing with Postecoglou and how he feels like we're progressing. We'll never know until that time. But right now, if I'm the club, unless a team is going to pay a really high fee and Kane really wants to go, I'm more than happy to keep him. I'm not desperate to sell him. I wouldn't sell him for anything less than 100 million. So that's good news for me.
Yeah, look, I think I've gone on record a number of times now to say that I think Spurs should consider a fee above 85 million. And I still stand by that. I still think we should consider a fee above 85 million. I think it's probably best to start. If he's going to leave anyway, if he's not going to sign that contract, I believe it's best to start planning a life without Harry Kane sooner rather than later. But if we are going to have Harry Kane for at least one more year, I'm not going to sit here and complain, because obviously the quality of the player, Tottenham legend, Tottenham man through and through, and it'll be a joy to behold watching Harry Kane in that Ange Postecoglou system being fed by the likes of Maddison and Porro and everyone that we had last season as well. So I'm not going to sit here and complain. I think it's going to be a joy to watch Harry Kane next season in this system. Do you think he can score more goals than he did last season in a Postecoglou system?
It's going to look 30. That's his best ever season when it comes to goal scoring. So even if he has a great season, he can still not get as many. I mean, can he get more? I mean, logic states in a more attacking system, maybe, but maybe also you've got to feel like the goals are going to be shared a bit more this season. Yeah, so from that point of view, you might say that he might not get as many, but if we create more chances.
I think he gets more assists. That's what he gets, because his assist tally was quite low this year. So I think he might up his assist tally to maybe what it was, maybe not as much as it was under Jose, but up there.
Yeah, I agree. He only got 4 assists or something last season, and it wasn't even because he wasn't creating the chances. They just weren't being taken.
Yeah, because no one else wanted to score apart from Kane last year, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the news on Harry Kane. Bayern are going to push for him at some point during the window, but apparently he has been told he's not going to be sold. So I guess the only way he does leave if he pushes for the transfer, really.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's no real reason for him to do it because he's in a very strong position. Look, next year he can leave on a free on his own terms. There's no reason for him to be desperate to leave right now, to be honest. Unlike maybe a couple of years ago when he knows he has 3 years left. If he doesn't leave that summer, he's in the position now where he's going to be here for another few years without winning anything. And that's exactly what happened. But I think this summer, I don't see I think he's probably going to be a bit more calm about the situation. There's no reason for him to spit his dummy out the pram because he's not getting his move, because he knows in a year's time, if he really wants to, he can leave on a free. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I just feel for us, it's just like delaying the situation. If the bid does come in, obviously if the bid doesn't come in, there's nothing that we can do. Like, it is what it is. But if the bid does come in and we reject it, let's say for £90 million or whatever, and we reject it, I just feel like it's delaying the inevitable. And I feel like in a year's time, we might be sitting here after he goes for free thinking, wow, we should have just taken the money and started to plan for life without him. You know what I mean?
Could well be, but I guess it is a gamble, but you're gambling on what Kane can bring you and where, like in terms of where we can finish in the league with Harry Kane rather than without him in the short term. Maybe let's say he gets us a Champions League space, like all of a sudden, even though if he doesn't sign, he can leave, and then he would have got us the money that we would have lost. But then obviously it's dependent on us performing very, very well above expectations probably next season. And there's no guarantee of that for sure. It's a gamble, but a gamble with Harry Kane is not a bad one.
All right, we'll leave it there. That is the Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding any of the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.